few subcomponents of the consumer price basket, which are mainly the food and non-alcoholic beverages component, which shows a 49% increase, and also followed by transport sector inflation and the housing, water and electricity and gas and other fuel sector. With regard to the credit to the private sector, there has been an expansion mainly due to the depreciation impact. But if we take out that parity change, there's a slowing of private sector credit by about 18 billion in March. So domestic credit in rupee terms have showed a significant expansion because of the foreign currency denominated loan component of the overall domestic credit. We see heightened challenges in the external sector, which are being addressed by an array of measures, because our import expenditure continued to remain high in the first quarter of this year, recording over $5.6 billion in the first 3 months of import expenditure, resulting in a trade deficit of over $2 billion in the first quarter of this year, which warranted some corrective measures from the central bank, including some restrictions in terms of open account transaction, the terms, imports, as well as the document against payment and document against acceptance related payment methods. And some further measures will be announced if the import expenditure continues to remain high in the period ahead. And we saw the gross official reserves have come down to significantly low level. So as of end April, our reserve level was $1.8 billion, and that includes the swap facility from the People's Bank of China, which is about $1.5 billion, which has some conditionalities in terms of its usability. The exchange rate, which underwent an overshooting in March, shows a correction now, mainly backed by our market guidance given to the licensed banks now in the determination of the interbank spot exchange rate. And also there are several measures underway in terms of strengthening the foreign inflows in the period ahead, foreign exchange inflows rather. So some of the measures include the technical level discussions which are ongoing, aimed at finalizing a program with the IMF to address some of the issues that the economy is facing at the moment. And also expeditious arrangements are being made to commence the restructuring of the external debt profile. And also negotiations have begun with the bilateral and multilateral partners to secure some bridging finance in order to ensure that the essential imports are available in the economy, as well as to strengthen the social safety net programs in the country. So the Monetary Board sort of emphasized the fact that the central bank's policy measures need to be complemented by adequate and timely policy adjustments by the government. So urgent measures are needed to restore greater political stability through consensus government and social harmony. And further measures are needed to strengthen fiscal performance in order to avoid excessive reliance on monetary financing so that the fiscal sustainability can be restored. And we think we need some revisions to tariffs in the energy sector with some cost-reflective pricing mechanism to strengthen the financial position of the state-owned enterprises in the energy sector. And further improvements of efficiency of social welfare programs is needed to support the vulnerable groups of society impacted by the unprecedented economic circumstances at the moment. So with that background, the Monetary Board reiterated that the central bank will continue to monitor domestic as well as global macroeconomic and financial market developments, and will stand ready to take appropriate measures proactively to help reinforce greater macroeconomic stability of the economy in the period ahead. So with that, let me invite my colleague, Dr. Lasta Padberia, to do the presentation in Sinhala, followed by the presentation in Tamil by Dr. Jagajeevan. Thank you.
ස්තුතියි. අද දින ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහා බැංකුවේ මුදල් මණ්ඩලය 2022 වසරට නියමිත වූ 4 වන මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති විවරණය ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කළා. එහිදී ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහා බැංකුව සිය ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලිය අනුපාතික දැනට පවතින මට්ටමේ නොවෙනස්ව පවත්වාගෙන යාමට තීරණය කළා. ඒ අනුව ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලිය අනුපාතික එනම් නිත්‍ය තැන්පත් පහසුකම් අනුපාතිකයේ 13.5ක මට්ටමේ නිත්‍ය ණය පහසුකම් අනුපාතිකයේ 14.5ක මට්ටමේ නොවෙනස්ව පවතිනවා. මෙම තීරණය කරා එළඹීමේදී ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහා බැංකුවේ මුදල් මණ්ඩලය පසුගිය අප්‍රේල් මාසයේදී සිදු කළ සැලකිය යුතු මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති මැදිහත් වීමෙන් පසු ඇති වූ ප්‍රවණතා දැඩිව සලකා බැලුවා. එමෙන්ම අපේක්ෂිත සාර්ව ආර්ථික ප්‍රවණතාද සලකා බැලුවා. මම දැන් මේ කරුණු ඉතා කෙටියෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. මුලින්ම අපි පොලි අනුපාතික දෙසට යොමු වෙමු. පසුගිය අප්‍රේල් මාසයේදී ප්‍රතිපත්ති පොලි අනුපාතික 7%කින් ඉහළ දැමීමට සාපේක්ෂව සමගාමීව වෙළඳපොළ පොලි අනුපාතික විශාල වශයෙන් ඉහළ ගියා. මෙහිදී ණය පොලි අනුපාතික මෙන්ම තැන්පතු පොලි අනුපාතිකද ඉහළ ගොස් තිබෙනවා. ප්‍රමුඛ පොලි අනුපාතිකයේ පසුගිය සතියේ 19.36 දක්වා ඉහළ ගොස් තිබෙනවා. පවතින පොලි අනුපාතික බැංකු පද්ධතිය වෙත වැඩි තැන්පතු ප්‍රමාණයක් ආකර්ෂණය කරගනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. මෑත කාලයේදී රාජ්‍ය සුරකම්පත් මත පළදා අනුපාතයක ඉතා විශාල ලෙස ඉහළ ගියා. එහෙත් ඉදිරියේදී රාජ්‍ය මූල්‍ය ප්‍රතිපත්තියේ වෙනස් වීම මෙන්ම රටෙහි දේශපාලන ස්ථාවරත්වය යථා තත්ත්වයට පත්වීම පිණිස ගනු ලබන ප්‍රයත්න හේතුවෙන් මෙම පොලි අනුපාතික පහළ ගොස් අඩු මට්ටම් වල ස්ථායී වනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. මෙම වසර තුළදී ආර්ථිකයේ සංකෝචනය වීමක් වාර්තා වනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. මේ බව ප්‍රධාන ආර්ථික දර්ශන වගේන් පෙන්නුම් කරනවා. පවතින සැපයුම් හිඟය බලශක්ති සම්බන්ධ ගැටලු මෙන්ම සමාජ නොසන්තුෂ්ඨතාව මගින් ආර්ථික ක්‍රියාකාරකම් සරහා ඇතිවන බලපෑම මේ සඳහා හේතු වෙනවා. ඒ අතරම මහ බැංකුවේ ඉල්ලුම් පාලනය කිරීමේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති සහ අපේක්ෂිත රාජ්‍ය මූල්‍ය ඒකාග්‍රතා ක්‍රියාමාර්ගද සමස්ත ඉල්ලුම අඩු කිරීමට හේතු වෙනු ඇති. ඉදිරි මාසවලදී උද්දමනය ඉහළ මට්ටමක පවතිනු ඇති. එහෙත් ප්‍රතිපත්ති ක්‍රියාමාර්ගවල බලපෑමෙන් මෙන්ම දේශීය හා ගෝලීය සැපයුම් තත්ත්වයෙහි අපේක්ෂිත වැඩිවීම හේතුවෙන් ඉන් පසුව උද්දමනය අඩු මට්ටම දක්වා ළඟවනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. උද්දමනය වැඩිවීම කෙරෙහි විශේෂයෙන්ම දේශීය සැපයුම් හිඟය ගෝලීය වෙළඳ භාණ්ඩවල මිල ගණන් ඉහළ යාම ශ්‍රී ලංකා රුපියල විශාල වශයෙන් අවප්‍රමාණය වීමේ බලපෑම මෙන්ම සමස්ත ඉල්ලුම් පීඩනවල බලපෑමද හේතු වෙනවා. අපි දකිනවා ආහාර උද්දමනය ඉතා විශාල වශයෙන් ඉහළ ගොස් තිබෙනවා. මාර්තු මාසයේදී රුපියල විශාල වශයෙන් අවප්‍රමාණය වීමේ බලපෑම නිසා පෞද්ගලික අංශයට සපයන ලද ණයෙහි ප්‍රසාරණය මන්දගාමී වුණා. එම ගැළපීමෙන් අනතුරුව පෞද්ගලික අංශයෙන් ලබා දුන් ණය තොගයේ සංකෝචන වීමක් මාර්තු මාසයේදී අපි නිරීක්ෂණය කළා. විදේශාංශය කෙරෙහි යොමු වුණොත් විදේශාංශය දැඩි අභියෝග වලට අකණ්ඩව ලක් වෙමින් සිටිනවා. ඒ අතරම ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගණනාවක්ම ගෙන තිබෙනවා එම අභියෝග සඳහා පිළියම් යෙදීමට. ආනයන ඉහළ මට්ටමක පවතිනවා. වෙළඳ හිඟියද ඉහළ මට්ටමක පවතිනවා. මෑත කාලීන මුදල් ප්‍රතිපත්ති ස්ථාවරය දැඩි කිරීම මෙන්ම විවෘත කොන්දේසි මත ආනයන සීමා කිරීම වැනි ආනයන සීමා සඳහා ඇති කළ සීමාව නිසා ආනයනය ඉදිරියේදී සීමා වනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. විදේශ සංචිත අව මට්ටමක පවතිනවා. දෙදස් විසි දෙක මාර්තු මාස සිදු වූ විශාල අවප්‍රමාණයෙන් පසුව විනිමය අනුපාතකයේ නිවැරදිවීමක් අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. දෙදස් විසි දෙක මැයි මස මැද සිට අන්තර්බැංකු එතැන් විනිමය අනුපාතික තීරණය කිරීමේදී මහබැංකු විසින් ලබා දෙන ලැබූ මඟ පෙන්වීම මගින් විනිමය අනුපාතිකයේ වන අධික විචලනය අවලංගු වනු ඇතැයි අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. මේ අතරම මහබැංකුව සහ රජය ජාත්‍යන්තර මූල්‍ය අරමුදල සමග තාක්ෂණික මට්ටමේ සාකච්ඡා ආරම්භ කරලා තිබෙනවා මේ දවස්වල. ඒත් එක්කම විදේශීය ණය ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගත කිරීමේ ක්‍රියාවලිය ආරම්භ කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු කඩමින් සූදානම් කරමින් සිටිනවා. ආර්ථික තත්ත්වය තවදුරටත් පිරිවීම වැළැක්වීම සඳහා මහ බැංකුව විසින් මෙතෙක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කර ඇති ක්‍රියාමාර්ගවලට සහාය වෙමින් ඉහළ දේශපාලන ස්ථාවරත්වයක් ඇති කිරීමට කඩිනම් ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැනීමට අවශ්‍ය බව මුදල් මණ්ඩලයේ අදහස වුණා. ඊට අමතරව මහ බැංකුව මූල්‍යකරණය මත අධික ලෙස රඳා පැවතීම වැළැක්වීම සහ මැදිකාලීනව රාජ්‍ය මූල්‍ය තිරසාරභාවය පවත්වා ගැනීම සඳහා රජයේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැනීම අත්‍යවශ්‍ය බවත් මුදල් මණ්ඩලය අදහස වුණා. බලශක්තිය සහ සම්බන්ධ රජය සතු වාණිජ්‍ය ව්‍යාපාරවල මූල්‍ය තත්ත්වය ශක්තිමත් කිරීම සඳහා බලශක්ති අංශයේ මිල ගණන් විනිවිදභාවයකින් යුතුව සංශෝධනය කිරීම ප්‍රමුඛතාවය ලෙසත් පවතිනවා. ඒත් සමගම සමාජයේ අවදානමට ලක්විය හැකි කණ්ඩායම් වලට සහාය වීම සඳහා සමාජ සුබසාධන වැඩසටහන් වල කාර්යක්ෂමතාව වැඩි කිරීමත් අවශ්‍ය බව මුදල් මණ්ඩලය අදහස වුණා. අවසාන වශයෙන් මහ බැංකුව දේශීය හා ගෝලීය වශයෙන් වන සාර්වාර්ථික ප්‍රවණතා අඛණ්ඩව නිරීක්ෂණය කරමින් පවතිනවා. ඒ අතරම ඉදිරි කාලයේදී ආර්ථිකයේ ඉහළ ආර්ථික ස්ථායීතාවයක් ඇති කිරීමට සහාය වීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය සුදුසු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගැනීමට මහ බැංකුව සූදානම්ව සිටිනවා. ස්තුතියි.
அனைவருக்கும் காலை வணக்கங்கள். இலங்கை மத்திய வங்கியின் நாணய சபையானது நேற்று நடைபெற்ற அதன் கூட்டத்தில் இலங்கை பொருளாதாரத்தினதும் உலக பொருளாதாரத்தினதும் தற்பொழுதும் எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்ற அபிவிருத்திகளை கவனத்தில் கொண்டு தற்பொழுதுள்ள கொள்கை வட்டி வீதங்கள் பொருத்தமான மட்டத்தில் காணப்படுகின்றது என தீர்மானித்துள்ளது. அந்த அடிப்படையிலே துணைநில் வைப்பு வசதி வீதம் மற்றும் துணைநில் கடன் வழங்கல் வசதி வீதம் என்பவை முறையே 13.5%, 14.5% தொடர்ந்தும் இருக்கும். அதேபோல நியதி ஒதுக்கு வீதமானது 4% மட்டத்தில் தொடர்ந்தும் காணப்படும். வட்டி வீதங்களை பொறுத்தவரையிலே அண்மையில் மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்ட கணிசமான நாணய கொள்கை இறுக்கமாக்கல் வழிமுறைகளினை பரிமாற்றத்தினை பிரதிபலித்து மிக முக்கியமான சந்தை வட்டி வீதங்கள் மேல் நோக்கிய திருத்தத்தினை காட்டியுள்ளன. இவ்வாறான மேல் நோக்கிய திருத்தமானது சந்தை வட்டி வீதங்களில் காணப்பட்ட சில முரண்பாடுகளை தீர்ப்பதற்கு உதவி புரிந்துள்ளது. அரச பிணையங்கள் மீதான விளைவு வீதங்களை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் எதிர்பார்க்கப்பட்ட மட்டத்தினை விட மிக உயர்ந்த மேல் நோக்கிய திருத்தத்தினை பதிவு செய்துள்ளன. இருந்த பொழுதிலும் எதிர்வரும் கால பகுதியிலே எதிர்பார்க்கப்படும் இறை செயலாட்டத்தில் ஏற்படுகின்ற முன்னேற்றம் மற்றும் அரசியல் உறுதிப்பாடு மீள ஸ்தாபிக்கப்படும் என்ற அடிப்படையிலே எதிர்வரும் காலத்தில் அரச பிணையங்களின் விளைவுகள் குறையும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. பொருளாதார வளர்ச்சியினை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் தற்பொழுது காணப்படுகின்ற முன்னோக்கிய குறிகாட்டிகளை அடிப்படையாக கொண்டு இவ்வருடத்தில் பொருளாதார வளர்ச்சியில் ஒரு மந்தமான தாக்கம் ஒன்று இருக்கும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. பணவீக்கத்தினை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் தற்பொழுது 2 முக்கிய சுட்டங்களின் அடிப்படையிலும் பணவீக்கமானது மிக உயர்ந்த மட்டத்தில் காணப்படுகின்றது. இதற்கு சில முக்கிய பிரிவுகளில் காணப்படுகின்ற அதிகரிப்பு முக்கிய காரணமாக இருக்கின்றது. உதாரணமாக உணவு பணவீக்கம் மிக முக்கியமான காரணமாக காணப்படுகின்றது. இந்த பணவீக்கமானது அடுத்து வருகின்ற சில மாதங்களிலும் தொடர்ந்தும் உயர்ந்த மட்டத்திலே காணப்படும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுவதுடன் ஏற்கனவே மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்ட கொள்கை வட்டி வீதங்களின் பரிமாற்றலின் காரணமாக அது முழுமையாக அடையப்படுகின்ற பொழுதிலே பணவீக்கம் மிதமடையும் என எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. மத்திய வங்கியினால் ஏற்கனவே மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டு வந்த நாணய கொள்கை பரிமாற்ற செயல்முறை அதுக்கு மேலதிகமாக மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டு வருகின்ற ஏனைய கொள்கை வீத ஏனைய கொள்கை மாற்றங்கள் என்பவற்றின் தாக்கத்தினால் எதிர்வரும் கால பகுதியிலே கூட்டுக்கல்வி அழுத்தங்கள் குறையும் எனவும் ஒரு பாதகமான பணவீக்க எதிர்பார்ப்புகள் குறையும் எனவும் எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. தனியார் துறைக்கான வங்கி தொழில் முறைமையில் இருந்தால கடன் வசதிகளை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் அண்மையில் ஏற்பட்ட செலாவணி வீதத்திலான மாற்றத்தின் காரணமாக மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்ட பெறுமதி சீராக்கத்தின் காரணமாக மார்ச் மாதத்திலே மிக உயர்ந்த தனியார் துறைக்கான கொடுக்கடன் பதிவு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது. இருந்த பொழுதிலும் இந்த பெறுமதி சீராக்கம் நீக்கப்பட்ட தனியார் துறைக்கான கொடுக்கடனானது ஒரு மந்த நிலையினை மார்ச் மாதத்தில் பதிவு செய்துள்ளது. வெளிநாட்டுத்துறையினை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் வெளிநாட்டுத்துறையானது தொடர்ந்தும் ஒரு உயர்ந்த சமநிலையின்மையினையும் சவால்களையும் கொண்டு காணப்படுகின்றது. இவற்றினை பூர்த்தி செய்வதற்காக பல்வேறு கொள்கை வழிமுறைகள் தற்பொழுது மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டு வருகின்றன. வர்த்தக செயலாற்றத்தினை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் கடந்த முதலாவது காலாண்டிலே இறக்குமதியானது தொடர்ச்சியாக உயர்வாக காணப்பட்டு வர்த்தக பற்றாக்குறையினை விரிவடைய செய்துள்ளது. இதற்காக பல்வேறு கொள்கை வழிமுறைகள் ஏற்கனவே மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டு வருகின்றன. அலுவல்சார் மொத்த ஒதுக்குகளை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் ஏப்ரலில் மதிப்பிடப்பட்ட அலுவல்சார் ஒதுக்கு வீதமானது மிக தாழ்ந்த மட்டமான 1.8 ஐக்கிய அமெரிக்க டாலர் பில்லியனை கொண்டு காணப்படுகின்றது. இது 1.5 பில்லியன் பெறுமதியை கொண்ட சீன மத்திய வங்கியிடமிருந்தான பரஸ்பர பரிமாற்றல் தொடர்பான தொகையினையும் உள்ளடக்கியுள்ளது. இந்த பரஸ்பர பரிமாற்றலின் பயன்பாடு சில நிபந்தனைகளுக்கு உட்பட்டதாக காணப்படுகின்றது. செலாவணி வீதத்தினை நோக்குவமாக இருந்தால் செலாவணி வீதம் மார்ச் மாதத்திலே ஒரு மிக உயர்வான பெறுமதி தேய்மானத்தை பதிவு செய்துள்ளது. அண்மையிலே மத்திய வங்கியினால் மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்ட வங்கிகளுக்கான வழிகாட்டல் வழங்குகின்ற நடைமுறையானது சில முன்னேற்றங்களை செலாவணி வீதத்தில் ஏற்கனவே காட்டியுள்ளதை காணக்கூடியதாக இருக்கின்றது. எதிர்வரும் காலத்தில் இது மேலும் தொடரும் எனவும் மார்ச் மாதத்தில் பதிவு செய்யப்பட்ட மிக உயர்வான பெறுமதி தேவடைதலின் தாக்கமானது சீர் செய்யப்படும் எனவும் எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. இதற்கு மேலதிகமாக வெளிநாட்டுத்துறையை அபிவிருத்தி செய்வதற்காகவும் பேரண்ட பொருளாதார உறுதிப்பாட்டினை உறுதிப்படுத்துவதற்காகவும் பல்வேறு செயற்பாடுகள் தற்பொழுது முன்னெடுக்கப்படுகின்றன. பன்னாட்டு நாணய நிதியத்துடனான தொழில்நுட்ப கலந்துரையாடல்கள் தற்பொழுது நடைபெற்று வருகின்றன. அதேபோல வெளிநாட்டு கடன் மீள் சீரமைப்பு தொடர்பான செயல்முறையினை விரிவாக நடைமுறைப்படுத்துவதற்கான செயற்பாடுகளும் தற்பொழுது மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டு வருகின்றன. அதேபோல தற்காலிகமான நிதியினை பெற்றுக்கொள்வதற்கான வெளிநாட்டு நிதியினை பெற்றுக்கொள்வதற்கான இருப்புடை மற்றும் பல்புடை தரப்பினருடனான பேச்சுவார்த்தைகளும் தொடர்ந்து மேற்கொள்ளப்பட்டு வருகின்றன. இவ்வாறு மத்திய வங்கியினால் மேற்கொள்ளப்படுகின்ற பல்வேறு கொள்கை வழிமுறைகளுக்கு ஆதரவளிப்பதற்காக சில முக்கிய விடயங்களில் அரசாங்கத்தின் போதுமானதும் நேரகாலத்துடனுமான கொள்கை ஆதரவு ஒன்று எதிர்பார்க்கப்படுகின்றது. முக்கியமாக அரசியல் உறுதிப்பாட்டினை மீள ஸ்தாபிப்பது ஒரு மிக முக்கியமானதும் அவசரமானதுமான ஒரு தேவைப்பாடாக காணப்படுகின்றது. இதற்கு மேலதிகமாக இறை செயலாற்றத்தினை வலுப்படுத்துவது மற்றும் வலுவுடன் தொடர்புடைய அரசுக்கு சொந்தமான வியாபார தொழில் முயற்சிகளின் நிதி நிலைமைகளை மேம்படுத்துவதற்காக செலவினை பிரதிபலிக்கக்கூடியதாக வலு தொடர்பான கட்டணங்கள் சீர் செய்யப்பட வேண்டிய தேவை ஒன்று காணப்படுகின்றது. அதேபோல தற்பொழுதுள்ள மோசமான பொருளாதார நிலைமை காரணமாக பாதிப்படையக்கூடிய சமூகத்தில் காணப்படுகின்ற பாதிப்படையக்கூடிய சமூகத்தினர்களுக்கு ஆதரவளிப்பதற்காக ஒரு நன்கு செயற்திறன் வாய்ந்த திட்டமிடப்பட்ட சமூக பாதுகாப்பு நிகழ்ச்சி திட்டங்கள் மேற்கொள்ளப்பட வேண்டிய தேவை ஒன்றும் காணப்படுகின்றது. இவ்வாறு மத்திய வங்கியானது உள்நாட்டிலும் வெளிநாட்டிலும் பேரண்ட பொருளாதாரம் மற்றும் நிதியியல் துறை தொடர்பான அபிவிருத்திகளை மிகவும் உன்னிப்பாக கவனித்து வருவதுடன் எதிர்காலத்தில் ஒரு சிறந்த பேரண்ட உறுதிப்பாட்டினை பேணுவதற்காக பொருத்தமான முட்கூட்டிய நடவடிக்கைகளை மேற்கொள்வதற்கு தயாராக காணப்படுகின்றது. நன்றி.
Thank you very much, Director of Research and his staff, for making the presentation. Let me add a few more remarks in addition to our monetary policy announcement and the basis for this decision. First of all, we have raised so far since August, central bank has raised policy rates by 9%, 900 basis points. And also, in response to these policy rate increases, we are seeing market interest rates have also risen sharply and significantly. For example, now the numbers that were shown here basically showed us, compared to our 9% increase in our policy rates, the government treasury bills yields have increased by about 18 to 19%. It's almost double the increase compared to the policy rate increase. That is why we think there's a overshooting situation, especially in government yields, treasury bills, 90-day, 180-day, and 1-year treasury bills. And as a result, overall yield curve has also shifted significantly more than that we expected with the tightening of monetary policy that we did last month and previously. So this is where what we think we need to stabilize the first interest rates, and we will be making certain interventions in two ways. One, I think, as you have already seen, we have given some guidance on exchange rate, and it has worked well, and exchange rate is stabilizing. Similarly, we would intend to have a similar kind of arrangement, give some guidance to address this overshooting situation. And also, in the rupee interest rates, we have an instrument. We can intervene in terms of providing central bank financing at primary auctions as well as through open market operations. So, this is what we would like to basically request players in the market, that we have allowed market to play the role. But if we think that interest rates have overshot, then that requires that basically need central bank intervention to stabilize the market. So in the rupee market, we have instruments, not only the guidance, but also ability to intervene through injecting funds into the market by central bank intervention. This is unlikely. In forex situation, it's only our guidance that has worked. Here we have both two instruments. But I want to make it very clear, we will continue to intervene as we did in the yesterday T-bill auction. We have rejected all the bids that were leading to increase yield rates more than the previous week weighted average. We'll continue to do this process until this move into the going into the downward direction and maintain that trend. So that we will. That's one thing I want to emphasize here. That is in line with our monetary policy decision as well. And also one can see the inflation obviously is around 30%. It will go even headline inflation will go around 40% in next couple of months. But that is not necessarily demand-driven inflation. It's partly due to one-off adjustment in some of the prices and also currency depreciation, and partly due to the historical last excess demand that was generating as a result of large monetary expansion. But now that is cooling down. Clearly, we see imports are coming down. We see the credit growth is also coming down. We see the monetary policy tightening, and the exchange rate depreciation has basically transmitting into the economy to curtail the demand component of the aggregate demand. But obviously, the cost push side and supply side issues that we have to address separately. So I don't think we should raise interest rates in line with headline inflation to address that situation. What we are looking at is kind of underlying inflation, whether that is working and whether aggregate demand is slowing down. We clearly see the economy is responding and moving in the right direction in response to our monetary actions. This interest rates reaction, market rates, have, in our view, has gone too far. That's where we need some intervention. Then on the exchange rate, if you observed in the last media conference, we announced certain measures. I'm glad to see the market is responding well, and working banks and all the other exporters or importers are following the guidance, and as a result, there are positive developments in the foreign exchange market. First, the black market premium has now come down significantly and falling in line with what we see the market interest rates within the banking sector. So that is one positive development, and we would expect that to continue because with several other measures. First one, the banning open accounts will be effective from 20th of this month. After that, the incentive for grey market activities, incentive for even exporters and others, remittances, to be used and to finance all these non-essential imports will not be there. So as a result, this grey market rates should be coming down further. As a result, the exchange rate now is turned around, and it will continue to, with more foreign exchange coming into the banking system, there will be more liquidity. That we already see the liquidity is gradually increasing in the foreign exchange market in the banking sector. That will help to stabilize the exchange rate further, and that trend will continue. That's our expectation. To support that, we have introduced some other measures. Today, with the monetary policy decision, we have imposed the LC, letter of credit margin requirement. We have brought back this for large number of non-essential items. Hereafter, they have to put money in advance if they want to open LCs. That is margin requirement back in force from today onwards. I think already circular has been issued. That's one thing. Second one, I already mentioned, fully implementation of banning open accounts, DADP terms, that requires money to be sent through a banking system will be fully effective from 20th of this month, probably in a couple of days. So those two will certainly help more foreign exchange into the banking system. That will improve the liquidity and also continue the trend in the foreign exchange rates for the appreciation. And in addition, there are certain other measures we have discussed at the monetary report, and let me share that those measures as well. For example, you have seen in the media recently, the police raided the illegal possession of foreign currency. There are two instances, one $40,000, other one is euro 50,000 last week, and law enforcement agencies raided and taken legal actions against people who are possessing foreign exchange illegally. So we will continue that process, and under the Foreign Exchange Act, we have authority to continue that process, and what we intend to announce in next couple of days, because that requires Minister of Finance approval, because authority of the Minister of Finance to issue this order under section, I think 22 of the Section 8 of the Foreign Exchange Act. That order will be issued soon, because Monetary Board has now agreed, and we make the recommendations to finance, under which this order, there are, under the Foreign Exchange Act, there is a limit anyone can hold foreign currency notes in possession up to the value of maximum $15,000. If they have got that money legally, like for example, legitimate foreign currency, say someone gone abroad, and when this person comes back, if they have left some foreign exchange, they can keep it up to 3 months, maximum $15,000 right now. Even if someone gets foreign currency as a gift or something, still they have a choice to keep in their hands up to 3 months, or after that they have to deposit this money in their, if they have foreign currency account. So those options are there. But what we are seeing in the recent past, because of this huge, large black market premium, people tend to collect foreign currency in notes and keep this foreign currency. So at homes, in the, say, in their walls, in commercial, all these places, obviously it's an open thing that we are seeing a lot of places openly this transaction happening. So what we are going to do in a couple of days is that we request all the foreign currency holdings by Sri Lankans residents here or entities. It's illegal to hold more than 15,000 limit. We're looking at bringing it down to 10,000. Even that 10,000, they have to show a proof of how they get that money. If not, within this, we are going to give a grace period of 2 weeks for them to be able to deposit this money either in their foreign currency accounts in the banking system or surrender that money and convert into rupees and then keep that money in their rupee account. So we are not going to, basically that's their money. They can keep it in the bank account or they can convert into rupees. That's only for the kind of period that the concession or the grace period will be around 2 weeks. After that, our Foreign Exchange Act gives us authority to impose fines. So then after that, the fines can be based on the act. We are looking at the interpretation from the AG also. There are certain limits. For example, value of the transaction is if they have $100,000, you can impose fine up to $100,000. So it means that they are going to lose their money if they hold this foreign currency in their hands. So this is what we intend to announce soon. And this is where we would like to make a request from people who are keeping this money. So give them opportunity. So please come and deposit the money in the banking system. That's your money. Give them a chance, an opportunity for you to bring that money into the banking system, and you still will have that money. But any violation of that will be like you are keeping something illegal at your home, in your walls, anywhere. So we have the authority, and we also request public, and also we are getting some information, like what happened last week, 2 transactions. Give us information. Our officers, with law enforcement authority, will be going for that information and will be conducting raids after 2 weeks. And then if we found that money, those are subject to depositing in the banks as well as certain fines that we can impose. So that is something that I want to announce here. This is basically intention is to get this, whatever the foreign currencies in circulation outside the bank system into the bank system. Here the idea is that will help for us to use those foreign currency to be used to support people's essential imports. That will give at least some support. That money can be used to, if you look at people waiting outside, gas queues, petrol queues, diesel queues, we can use that money to support people who need essentials. That is the whole intention. So that's under the law, it's also permitted for us to take that action. We will continue to take that action. That is the next measure. As I mentioned earlier, I just want to announce it in advance so that people will have some time to deposit their foreign currency holdings into the banking system. That certainly is good even for them. For example, if someone holding dollars in their hands, now dollar is now depreciating. And if you deposit the money into bank, you get interest of about 20%. And if you wait for further time, more time, you might be forced to sell at a lower exchange rate, because now exchange rate is already trending downwards. And this is best interest of people who are holding dollars. And this is best opportunity for them to convert and deposit in the banking system and take rupees and earn a good interest in their rupee deposits. That's, I think, the best, if you look at on financial terms, that is also best opportunity for them, as well as it will be good for the country, because that we can use that money to support or finance essential imports. So that is the second one. So with that, let me stop here, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
Two questions. From day ago, you said that you are not happy with this political stability in the country. I want to know what your position is with regard to that. Then question number 2, how did remittances fare last month? And number 3, this guidance of the spot, is it due to your technical conversations with the IMF, or is it homegrown? Just those 3 questions for the moment.
No, this is I'll start with the last question. This is, I don't see we don't call anything homegrown solutions. This is in consultation with the marketplace that we have introduced. All banks and treasurers and marketplace have agreed. It's a consultative process, and all agreed, and this is why it's working. On the remittances, I think we have published March numbers.
April, last month.
Yeah, April, have you published it?
We haven't published yet. They will be publishing.
We will be publishing. So you can look at the daily, weekly economic indicators that at right time we will be publishing. So that you will know that. The other question, do you think I should...
You said a couple of days ago that if the political stability is not attended to, that you might close the book and leave.
Yeah, certainly I said. So in your view, do you think political...
So I want to know what your view is.
So my view, if you look at that situation I mentioned there was no prime minister, there was no cabinet at that point, there was a lot of violence happening in the country, there was both political and social instability. But if you compare the situation with what is in today, we have a prime minister appointed. And then the parliament is now working, and there's a number of ministers have been appointed. We're only waiting for the finance minister. So there's a significant improvement in terms of both the violence, social unrest, and the political stability. I think that everyone can see that. So that's why I think the statement I made, if that situation continues, I will not continue. So now, because situation is improving, I think, in my view, I will certainly, so I don't think there is a situation, as I mentioned earlier, for me to, because there's an expectation that we have seen measures that we have been introducing is working well. And my statement was based on, if whatever we do, if that is not working, no point of me or whoever, government central bank, wouldn't be able to address the current economic condition. Now we are seeing some improvement, which means so things we are doing are working. So I think on that basis, I just certainly intend to continue.
ලංකාව නිල වශයෙන් ණය ගෙවීමට
ණය බැරි sorry yeah
ලංකාව නිල වශයෙන් ණය ගෙවීමට බැරි රටක්ද
නෑ අපි ඒක මුලින්ම අපි කිව්වත් වශයෙන්ම ණය ගෙවන්න බැරි වුණා නේ අපි ණය ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක අපි දැනුම් දුන්නේ ගිය මාසේ අප්‍රේල් 12 වෙනිදා දැනුම් දුන්නා. ඒතර ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක දැනුම් දීලා අපි ණය ගෙවීම සඳහා රිවිව් කරන්න රිසර්ච් කරන්න අපි ණය දීපුවට ආරාධනා කළා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් දැන් ඒ තත්ත්වය තමයි තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒක වෙනස් වෙලා නැහැ. තාම අපි එදා කිව්වේ අපි ඉදිරි කාලය තුල ණය ප්‍රතිවිරුද්ධ කරනකම් අපි ඒක ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක.
Governor, the fact that you are taking all these measures to bring money that is being held by families or other citizens. Do you have any idea about how much of money there might be held in
No,
that sense?
we have no idea, but there's kind of it is very well known that it has been openly, people are basically buying and selling dollars in the open market in say, last couple of months, so that we have seen.
And on the, I mean, as you said, in your view, the political situation has improved. There is some stability. What do you think is the crucial next step, and what can we do to actually start on the debt restructuring? Have you all? What is the status of that?
That we have almost finalized, and it will be submitted to the next cabinet. And I would like to see a finance minister appointed, so that the IMF and all the negotiations. The finance minister is the one who has authority to sign off the policies. So that is, I think, there are indications there will be more cabinet appointed in a couple of days. So we can wait and see. But still, even without the finance minister, we have a cabinet. So we are going to submit the both financial and legal advisors' appointments to the cabinet most probably within a couple of days, most probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
What is the status of the technical discussions with the IMF, please?
That is still going on. This is the first week and the second week, last part of the technical negotiation. We have this is where they are looking at overall macro fiscal framework for next couple of years. We have shared all the information. We have shared with them both fiscal policy and the monetary policy and other structural reforms. We have shared with them our intentions of policy reforms that we want to implement in the next, say, 6 months or 12 months to address this situation. This is our own policies. And then they will assess their policies, and then the next step for them to do what they call this sustainability analysis based on our policy package and see at what level the debt is sustainable, so that then we can, then what are the adjustments those are needed to bring debt into sustainable level, the first one, and then what kind of contribution or that can be made by the creditors to bring our debt.
Delivering unrivaled live coverage with news you can trust. This is Derana 24, Sri Lanka's news channel.